Peace.
This is Joshua Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real2reel360. K-Wise.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. Let's get it in.
We do the knowledge of wisdom so you can understand. Real360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Peace, 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 peace to all our followers, listeners, and the nation of gods and earth. I'd like to bring to you an episode of Real2reel360. I am Joshua Law, Mr. PhD. My co-host will be here soon, Kato the Black Superhero, DJ K-Wise. But today, we are honored and privileged to have this up-and-coming, this artist. I can't even say up-and-coming because he's been in the game for about 10 years now. So he's been definitely making his mark. And he's definitely different. When I say different, he's a Southern soul artist with a soul and R&B feel when you listen to his music. He's definitely a grown, dealing with grown man issues and everything else when it comes to his music. He keeps the love in there. So right now, I want to bring to y'all J Red the nephew. Everybody clap their hands together for my brother, Mr. J Red the nephew.
Yeah.
Peace. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm chilling, man. I hope y'all are.
Man, yeah, man. You know how the weather out there in Atlanta, man.
Man, I didn't even know if it was winter or summertime today, man. The sun was right earlier today, but now the sun done went back in, so it's cold now.
No question. I want our followers and listeners to get the chance to know you and get a chance to know your music. But right now, I want you to introduce yourself, give a brief overview of who you are and how long you've been in the business.
Well, my name is J Red the nephew. I'm a soul blues recording artist. I've been in the actual entertainment business 30 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Started out in R&B, of course. You know, got into a lot of political things going on out there in Virginia Beach. I did work with Missy Elliott, Chad Hugo from the Neptunes, Big Bud from the group Today. Did some work with Teddy Riley over at Teddy's studio, you know, hanging out over there, working and chilling with Bub on his Timeless album he did over there at Teddy's place. I was in a group called Average Guys, and you know, out in Virginia Beach, and that kind of went south. Politics, you know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you brought Chad's name up because I used to do security for Chad.
Oh, wow. Small world. See that?
Yeah, I was out there in Virginia Beach with Chad and Missy and them too.
Yeah. Hey. There it is. Yeah, we were standing right over there in Chimney Hill off of Princess Anne.
Okay, I know exactly where that's at because I was over there, you know what I'm saying, on East Only out in Norfolk, out there in Norfolk.
Okay.
Downtown Norfolk, yeah.
All day long then. So you got a little bit of history we didn't even know about. See?
No question. But when did you start actually singing and getting into, you know what I'm saying, the soul R&B music genre?
What the you talking about the Southern Soul situation?
No, just starting out singing, period. Like what made you want to start out, you know what I'm saying, being a soul singer?
Well, I always knew I could sing at a very early age. I started writing my own songs when I was 15 years old. And you know, just sitting at the house on a old out of tune piano. You know how back in the days you had to take 2 tape recorders and tape yourself singing along with it, and then record on the other one, then take that other tape with all that fuzz and hiss and put it in the other recorder. And so you can have you some tracks with background and all that. But by the time you get through with your song, it got so much air and static in it.
Right.
Yeah, man. So I've been at this. I've been at this ever since I was right at 15 years old, and things really started getting serious when I was right at the age of 21.
Okay.
When I got out of school, I got out of high school. I was doing some production work for a production company called No Exit Productions out in North Carolina. And, met these other cats that had a local deal with a studio called LB Studios, Average Guys, and they were looking for a lead singer. And I already had like 30 songs, and they liked them. So next thing you know, I joined the group. They made me the lead singer. I started producing for the group, and then we wound up getting a deal out in Virginia Beach. And we were out there from like 93 to like 96. And after that, we had to go back to North Carolina with our head down and tail tucked between our legs and everything. You know how it is with pop. And that's one of the things about the music industry and the music business. It ain't always about the music. It's about your business, and it's about who you know, and it's about how you move and how the people around you move. You can have mediocre music. Sometimes you can have garbage music, but if your business is where it needs to be at, you're gonna move. You know, and so when I left the group, I went solo. I didn't have a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't play those political games in R&B. I couldn't play them. I'm gonna tell you a funny story, man. So I don't know if you remember when BET used to have BET Uncut.
Yes, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so I had a song up there called What's Up. And you had to make it like a kind of a raunchy type of video for it to be late. So we did that. And what happened was we didn't blur out everything because we figured, well, once we send it in, that they'll edit it and blur out certain things that needed. Because I was like, well, we'll just push the envelope and let them decide. Man, they were playing my video unedited, and it had all kinds of stuff going on in the music video. So about a month later, we get an email from BET saying, hey man, when you sending us these videos, you have to blur out certain things. You know what I mean? And so right when we were finishing up the editing for it, BET got shut down. So I believe my video was the video that shut down the BET.
The uncut.
Man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, boy. So but it was national exposure. That's why we did it. It was free national exposure. The song was hot. I was spending money on the song and everything, but I didn't have enough money to sit at the table with the big boys. And that's what I mean about politics, especially in R&B and hip hop, mainstream radio. For real, you got to have some real budget behind your material. I don't care how hot it is or how garbage it is. You could be the hottest song ever, but if you don't have no money to go behind that song, you ain't gonna you're not gonna get the results that you want. That's just and that was part of the reason why I moved over into Southern Soul. I started getting older, and the lyrics in the R&B was just so, not untasteful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And once you start getting older, you don't do women and just say, hey, let me hit it from the back. You don't just go to them. You don't go to a mature woman and say that. You know what I mean? There's other ways to say that it would be accepted, but it's you know what I'm saying? Certain mannerisms, certain words, wordplay, the way you carry yourself. Now you have to step your game up and be more, use your vocabulary much better than I want to hit it from the back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I I was like, well, the direction that I saw R&B going, I was like, man, listen, I don't like it. I was getting older. I found out about Southern Soul, which I knew about Southern Soul, but once I decided to make my gumbo,
Right.
like when you listen to my Southern Soul music, it's like you said, it has a R&B soulful twist. It'll have some hip hop undertones going on, but the blues is still on top. And I know how to create that in a manner where I got accepted in the Southern Soul genre, but I respected the genre enough to study it, to study the culture. It is a real actual culture. Southern Soul is.
Right.
Just like hip hop. Hip hop is a culture. You know what I'm saying? It's not this poppy radio pop type. It's not that. We grew up with hip hop. We know what hip hop is and what it stands for. And same thing with Southern Soul, Soul Blues. Some people call it liquor house. In North Carolina, that's why we call it liquor house music. So,
Right.
but I studied it enough, and I am happy with where I am right now. But on my next project, I'm going to lean more towards more of an old school R&B sound, and a little bit less bluesy. Because go ahead.
Not to cut you off, because I was listening to a couple of your songs, right? Step In and things like that.
Yeah.
And it has that real soul feel, even though, you have the, like, almost the Southern Soul music in the back, but the harmony, the lyrics, the presentation is more of a soul vibe. And there's certain artists in Southern Soul that are like that. Like, I would say yourself, Calvin Richardson,
Right.
Omar and Librato have that soul vibe and that soul feel.
Yeah.
So listening to your music, you can tell that you come from a R&B background.
Yes, sir.
And to be able to step into Southern Soul and make an impact, because you've been in Southern Soul for what, about 2013 was your first, if I'm not mistaken, your first debut single was in 2013.
Absolutely. So I'm going on 8 years.
Right. So matter of fact, going on 10.
Going on 10, yeah, no doubt.
Going on 10. And
I'm going on 10 years, man.
And I watched some of your videos of your shows, right? Because we do our homework a lot of times all the time on our artists, and we see the way the crowd feels. The crowd looks at you when you perform, and when you step out there with the cigar, and then you out there and you're addressing certain situations. That's the grown man thing. Is that the image that you want to portray while you're doing your music?
Definitely. That is definitely the image. See, when I grew up listening to the OJs and the Manhattans, and then of course, Marvin Gaye and all these guys, man, and their mannerism, the way they do music, the way they do interviews, the way they dress, the way they present themselves to the public. It's a respect. It's a certain level of respect, and these guys were their character was impeccable. Now I don't know what they did in their personal lives, but to the public, when it's time for them to be that artist in the public, they always knew how to carry themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to me, that separates the men from the boys. I'm a grown man. I'm going to dress like a grown man. I'm going to talk about grown man issues. I'm not going to be using the slang that the young crowd uses. I am from the street, so I do have some street tendencies in my music, but at the same time, I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I love being in the Southern soul blues genre, because you can be grown and you can be accepted. I used to do shows with Roy C. You
Right.
know, man, listen, man, Roy C. That guy was in his 80s when he passed away, but he was still doing shows. And
Yeah, that's Saved by the Bell.
you, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
yo, in this genre, once you have your fan base, you're good to go. I mean, as long as you continue to put out good quality music, your fan base is going to continue to grow. But you're going to be able to sustain your career until you pass away. I mean, I don't know no other way to say it, man. But like in R&B, the way R&B is now, okay, let's take somebody like Tank, for instance.
Right.
Tank can sing like no other. You understand me? But I remember he just did a short interview, and he was talking about the labels that he deal with. If he can't sing a song about me and my woman staying together through thick and thin, and I love you, because mainstream radio don't want us to be portrayed in that manner. They want us to be saying, calling our women out of their name, and having them doing all kinds of crazy stuff and having them getting high and all. See, that's what they want us to talk about when it comes to us and our people. So in order for him to continue on in his career, it's certain things that he can't even sing about that he wants to sing about.
Do you feel like that when it's that type of situation that an artist need to go independent and get away from the major labels?
I definitely do. But what happens is you have to have that mindset before you get with a major. Because once you get with a major and you start making this money, the money clouds your mind and fogs up the whole situation. Because now you feel like, well, if I don't continue doing what I'm doing, then I'm gonna get dropped by this label, and I got all these bills I have incurred, like with this Bugatti and all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bruh, you gotta really think about this being your career from the beginning, and how you're gonna have your own standards, and how you're going to stand up for your standards. So with me, just like now, I'm starting my tour kicks off tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. This is my tour. I'm paying for this with my money that I have made from my shows, and money that I have made from my digital sales, and I have my own wine and all this stuff here going on, and I put money to the side to save up to do my own thing. And when a lot of times when the fans know that it's not a promoter that's going to walk away with all the money, that gives them even more incentive, because they know that they're actually supporting me as an artist. You know what I mean?
Right.
The biggest problem, and that's one of the things that I was trying to get a lot of my constituents in Southern Soul to realize, was when people come to the concerts, they're coming to see the artist. They're not coming to see the promoter.
Right.
So the artists have to realize that, okay, if you have an audience that wants to come see you, then what's wrong with putting on your own show? Floyd Mayweather is the prime example. Floyd Mayweather puts on his own fights. He pays his opponent. He doesn't have any sponsors. Nike want to sponsor him. He told Nike, I don't need none of your money. I don't need none of your money. You're not going to have no say-so over nothing that I do. You understand me? And I remember Pacquiao was talking about, well, I don't feel like you paying me enough money. Floyd was like, Joker, you're going to make $40 million on one fight. Have you ever done that in your career? And where can you do that at? You understand me? So
right.
That's the position that I want to be in. And the only way you be in that position is just like what you said. When you go independent, and it sounds good when people say I'm independent, but it's work, a lot of work.
Yes.
You know, struggle, but you have to have a 5-year projection, a 10-year projection, and a 20-year projection. That's what I have. And I have already surpassed my 10-year projection already.
Now, when it comes down to, I saw one of your shows, and it was a show that you did in DC.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times artists don't make it, Southern Soul artists don't make it that far up or this far up in with shows. How was it when you was in Palmer Key, Maryland?
Yeah, Po Monkey Maryland. Shout out to Po Monkey. You know, EMV, my man Dr. Nick out there.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great. And see, one of the biggest advantages for me is I'm from North Carolina. I'm originally from North Carolina. So when we were coming up, you know, all the music would be coming from New York, and it had to come through us to make it further south.
Right.
When the music was coming from Florida, it had to come through us to make it up top. Right. So we were in the middle, and we were getting, you know, combinations of all types of music, which allowed me as a producer to know how to produce certain sounds that work in certain areas. So my music, like I was saying earlier, when you listen to my music, it has hip hop undertones, it has the R&B undertones, the soul undertones, and it has the blues on top. But I know how to structure my vocals, and I know how to certain lyrics to use to where it's accepted in the North and in the South. And a lot of artists in this genre have no idea. They absolutely have no idea how to do that because they are just from the South, and it's nothing wrong with being from the South, but when you're in that box like that and you don't travel outside of that, you don't understand what people up north want to hear. You don't understand what people in the central part of the coast want to hear. You don't understand it because you ain't from there and you ain't never been there.
Now, what is the song that you wrote that stands out the most for you, that gets the most feedback?
That's a tough question, because the song that is selling the most is Step Out.
Right.
That song is like just automatic. Step Out. Everybody want to do the step out. They learning to dance. But the when you listen to that beat itself, I even have a New Jack swing going on in there. It's very subtle, but it's there. And it's making people move their body. And they're like, I don't know what it is about your music, man. But when I hear your beats, it's different. It's, you know, I was out there with Teddy Riley. You know what I'm saying? I you know what I mean? And before I went out there, I was a big fan of Teddy Riley. You know, I studied his patterns, his beat patterns, the swing and all of that. And I put that swing in there. But when you start talking about love songs, I have this love song called Loving on You. And that song is really, really catching fire now. And that song, I think it's like 8 years old, something like that. Yeah. And really just now starting to catch fire. So that is, I would say those are the main two, but then it all depends on what area you're talking about too. Because in Mobile, when I go down there on the Gulf Coast, it's all about Give It To Me. It's all about I Will. I have a song called Milk. Those three songs right there, they're automatic.
Right.
You know, so it really depends on what part of the country that I'm going to. Yeah.
Now, first of all, my co-host done came in, DJ K Wise, Kato the Black Superhero. God, yeah, peace. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in.
Yeah. First of all, peace and blessings. I want to say, pardon myself for being a little bit late. I had to take care of some major business, but as I was coming in, I was listening, and I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, your song "Step Out," I blaze it. I live in North Carolina now. I'm from New York, but and I DJ and I play it. One of my great mentors loves that song, and it's every time I play it for him, they march in. The whole organization will march in after the jam. So yeah, fam. Trust in me.
North Carolina, South Carolina, I represent you well when I play that song. You best believe everybody loves Step Out. And I just want to say maybe when one day something happens, we can get you in the mall and put you on, man. We got some room somewhere. Somehow we can do something.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Cause I'm the head honcho. Let's do it. That's what I mean. I don't have to ask nobody no questions. You know what I'm saying? It's automatic. So we'll make that happen.
All right. There it is. There it is.
Yo, we got a couple of comments up on here for going back, and I want to tap on some of that too, talking about your R&B joint. So we're going to look at E Groove says, to me, the real R&B stopped in 1994, and now real R&B has gone underground. They still do it. It's just not getting promoted. And then she goes on further to say, don't worry about the young ones. Just continue to do real music. My first intro to soul was Lakeside, fantastic voice, and your love is on the one. And I feel the same way. R&B to me has became is just raw bananas. You know what I'm saying? To a point.
Yeah.
Because like me and my brother, we always say all the time, the love is missing in real truth of R&B.
It is.
And funny thing is, I see it in the growth in Southern Soul R&B more. So it's like I'm in a living example. I didn't know too much about Southern Soul the way it is now until my baby brother really put me onto it, and now I'm hooked. You understand what I'm saying? And I take a lot of people's music and I listen to it, and I blend it with the old school R&B or old school hip hop that I hear. And when I blend it and mix it into music, I put it on the air, and people are like, yo, who is that? And I tell them, well, this is the artist here. And they say, yo, that mix you're doing is good. But I love it because Southern Soul R&B to me is the new wave of R&B love.
It is. It is.
And the greatest thing about it is, like, whenever we watch you singing and you doing your shows, you're having fun. That's the main thing.
Always. Whenever I see a crowd, it can be a crowd of 2 or 2,000 or 20,000. I'm gonna perform just like it's 20,000 people, because when anybody walks through the door and pays to get in, I have to respect that. Anytime somebody pays to get in to come see me do what I do, I never take it lightly. Never, ever, 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 ever take it lightly. And getting back to what you were saying about R&B, but today's R&B, it has no emotions, none of that type of stuff. I'm telling you, man, it's structured that way by design. Because we can really go deep with this thing now. If y'all want me to go deep, I can go deep with this thing.
Take it there. That's the real.
You want the real, baby.
Well, here it is. Here it is right here. The major record labels, let's just be real. A lot of the major record labels have invested into the prison system. Now, when you, just like with hip hop, when that's why the hip hop artists are having to say certain things and act a certain way in order for their records to be marketed and produced, and for them to actually come out as an artist, is because the record label is invested into the prison system, which wants us to act foolish, which is, music has spirits and emotions in it, man. You can listen to some smooth jazz and it'll mellow you right out. You could be drinking your glass of wine, you fine. But change the music to Future, and with him talking about everything under the sun that he did to this person and killed that person, and they're going to do this and that. See, now your whole mood changes. But these young kids, when they listening to this stuff, they can't separate reality from entertainment. So they try to mimic what they hear and what they see on these music videos and what they're hearing on the radio. But now pay close attention. When you turn it to the white people station, they're not calling their women sluts and all this type of stuff and talking about going to prison, and they don't even want their children listening to that. Cardi even said this. Cardi B said, yeah, I know I make my music, but I don't let my daughter listen to my music. Why, Cardi? 2 Chainz said, yeah, I don't let my children listen to my music. Why? But you want other people's children to listen to it? You understand what I'm saying? It's by design, man. And then they even have life insurance policies on these artists. You seeing how all these artists turning up dead here lately?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And the record label making money off the life insurance policy too.
Absolutely.
So let's get this straight.
Let's get it.
With our artists are out here making the kind of music that degrades our race from all angles. Then our race acts stupid from listening to the music. Not all of us, because some of us grown people know how to make the difference, but still, the kids don't. Then they wind up going to prison, going to jail. The white man make money off that. Then they go out here and kill each other in the street. The white man make money off that. He making money off the music, the drugs, the music, the prison system, and death.
That's right.
And pass that money on to his children, where his children can go to college off of our backs once again. It's a new slavery, man. It's just a new form of slavery, period. And that's what I love about Southern Soul is this is the last form of music that we own. Ain't no major record labels in Southern Soul, none. That's why you can hear artists making songs like like you were saying, my brother, when you were saying Southern Soul is the new form of R&B love. Because we don't have an A&R saying, no, why don't you change this word to that? Or I don't really like that song. Let's write a song about you cheating on your woman. Or let's write a song about why don't you use some slang, some more slang words and kind of belittle her a little bit. You know what I mean? These guys will do it. They just sell out. But Southern Soul, you don't have it's not even structured. I came from a structured environment when it comes to music. I mean, structured. Just like how you were saying earlier, when you listen to my Southern Soul music, you hear certain cadences and certain forms of music, but I still know how to bring it all together. When I first started out, I was playing the violin. I played the violin in school, then I played the cello, then I played the acoustic bass. Then I started playing the trumpet. But when I played the violin in the orchestra, I learned how to put all these different parts together and make it sound good. And at one point in time, each section would have the lead in the piece, but everybody else would be accompanying. When I learned that, all of this other music is just a cinch to me. It's a cinch.
Do you feel that, I know we grew up in the, for 70s and 80s, where listening to the music that our parents had and then the music that we were growing up, we was exposed to love songs.
Right.
Because we had love songs that our parents listened to. We had love songs that we listened to. Coming up, especially in the 80s, you had the New Jack Swing. You still had Teddy P. You still had Barry White. You still had Atlantic Star and things like that. So we were able to be more diverse in our music and understand what love is, because we used to use the music to date or to initiate, getting with females, you know what I'm saying? So if they don't have that nowadays and they use drugs and other things to initiate, and do you feel like that's what's the reason, is because they took the love out and put the drugs in? I'm not putting, saying that in your mouth, but that's my perspective.
Well, that's it precisely. But the reason for them taking the love out and putting the drugs in is because of the powers that be that control them with these major record labels. These major record labels control these artists, because no artist wants to be signed to a record label and their music is just sitting on the shelf, or they never come out, or they get dropped off the label. So they give into what their A&R says for them to have to do in order for their record to come out, and they just give into it. and you'll hear more and more artists talking about it, man. It's crazy. But the good thing about this situation that I'm in is just like this interview we're doing. The internet is your best friend.
Right.
You can touch all over the world, man.
Growing up, my family is from, say my mother and father grew up in Mississippi, so I was always exposed to Southern Soul blues generation. Being in New York, I was exposed to 107.5 WBLS. The Johnny Taylors and the Tyrone Davises always kept loving their music, whether or not certain songs, how they felt about individuals. Then you go back and you listen to the R&B songs that came through when Johnny Gill was young before he got with New Edition.
Oh yeah.
We waited for the red light to come on at parties so we can get that slow dance. And
yes,
they don't slow dance or two-step anymore.
They don't. And I have quite a few ballads in my repertoire for my soul blues music, and even my former R&B music I have a lot of ballads, and situations. I've even had people call me and tell me that my music kept them together.
Right.
I got a song called "We'll Be All Right," and that song is just saying, no matter what happened, no matter who's at fault, we just gonna talk this thing out and love on each other, and we're gonna everything gonna work. I mean, and when you get comments and things like that from people saying, "Man, your music saved my relationship," it's crazy, man. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is actually worthwhile, because the love songs definitely wasn't a popular thing to start doing in the late 90s. All that kind of went out the door right around 94, 95. You know what I'm saying? Late 90s, it turned into, I'm a player. Don't fall in love with me. You're going to get your feelings hurt. It wasn't, baby, I love you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna ride this wave. It won't none of that. And that goes back to what Tank was saying. Tank was like, it was this guy, he had this song, I forgot the name of the song, but Tank sung the song, and there was a white guy that was singing the song, and he said, if I sing that song, right, that same song, my label's not gonna put it out, because what makes them more afraid is to see kings like the three of us and our queens stay together and become powerful. That's what makes them afraid. So they want to keep us at odds all of the time. It goes just like Section 8. Okay. Oh, we can put you in the project, but it can't be no man living with. It can't be no man living there. Well, why? Because you're gonna have more structure, and the children are gonna have a mother and a father in the house, and they're gonna be more disciplined and have more sense. So no, we're gonna keep that out, so we can have more time to groom their minds with this dirty music that we making a black artists do to put in their ear, so they can go to prison, and we can make more money off of them, and then eventually kill themselves, and then we make that insurance money off of them, insurance policy money off. It's all a design, man. This is all a design.
Definitely. I was looking, and the thought that popped in my mind that back in the days, it used to be subtle innuendos. It was word plays more so. When it came down to you had the same type of conversation, but it was worded differently, and it was worded respectfully. But that's what we used to call back in the day. You had to have game,
yes,
what I'm saying, or conversation.
You had to have the love code. You had to have the love.
The love code. Now everything is so blatant and in your face, and they're talking about a lot of lesbian, a lot of other things in the music. Women on women, we have a menage. I'm busting, she's busting this woman open, this, that, and the third. This isn't what we came up on.
No, not. It's absolutely not. Now, I have a song called Milk, where I actually pushed the envelope with that pen. I had some serious wordplay, and it's sort of an X-rated song. But when you listen to it, I was real clever with what I was saying and the way I was saying it. So you know, because the song is saying, "Can I get that milk?" Well, we know what that is. You know what I mean? But the way I played on the words, the song can actually be played on the radio without having to bleep out anything. You know what I mean? And that came from my history, like you were saying about knowing how to say. It's a million ways to say one thing. Knowing how to be more creative instead of just blatant. Can I hit the front and back?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think that the music it's been programmed, whereas there's no difference in the music that we listen to than our children listen to. You go everywhere, every song that you hear on the hot whatever radio station, hip hop and R&B, is played on the soul radio station, and you have to go to internet radio for Sirius and Spotify and different things like that to hear the music that addresses you. So I look at that and I say music is part of the reason why you have 40, 50-year-old single men and women. And that's not something that we really grew up with coming up. You know what I'm saying? If individuals didn't have a parent at home, that parent was with another person. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was actually single coming up or taking girl trips or all male trips, you know what I'm saying? Men trips by themselves.
Right.
You know, everything was always talked about, you know what I'm saying, getting with the opposite sex and having a future with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. But again, you know, the big picture is it's all by design, man. It is all by design, all the way to the TV shows that we're watching now on TV, all forms of entertainment. They just do not want to see a strong Black family being portrayed as a strong Black family on TV. They do not want that to be seen. They do not, because they don't want us to come together and be the power that we actually are. They don't want to do it. And when you separate the men from the women, then you got children being raised by us in single parent homes. And in my opinion, it takes two.
Right.
It takes two to properly raise a child, man. A child needs to see that strong masculine side from his father and that subtle feminine side from his mother, and he or she needs to see his mother and his father come together, whether even if they're coming together to discipline the child. You know what I'm saying? All those things are important, and the powers that be, they know that.
Oh yeah.
And they want to keep us separated. They don't want us to have none of that because they are afraid of us being the original man. They know it. Most of us don't even know it.
Right. Definitely.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. So like I said, I can really go deep, man. I don't want to start getting into a lot of biblical things, man, but we are the people, man. We are the people. And if you look at everything, everything starts with us.
Right.
Sure as me, we know.
Everything good. Let's say it like that. Everything good starts with us. You understand me? So I mean, if not, why they want to copy everything we do?
That's it. That's it.
And that's another thing. You know, they're trying to take real singing out of R&B. Why? So they can do it and take it over.
Right.
So they don't have to, you know, put those strains and grunts in their voices and have all these emotions when they singing and make you feel a certain way with just one gesture. They don't possess that in a whole. They don't possess that. But they can sing along, but they can't do all these types of riffs and stuff that we do on a whole. They can't.
No.
So they want to water it down so they can take it over. They want to steal this too.
They're looking for the next Elvis.
My question is, there's 3 Caucasian artists that they push out there. And this goes from the 90s up. That how do you feel that they push them into the R&B section, or because they try to change R&B into making it a pop culture,
right?
Take the soul out, so that open the doors for different races of people to come in and build the culture inside R&B.
New Kids on Rocks.
Nah, that I was thinking more of John C. And the rest of them cats, but how do you feel that that door is not open in Southern Soul like it is in R&B? You had some artists in the blues genre who opened the door a little bit for Caucasian individuals, but for the most part in Southern Soul, that door is not open to them.
Because of the simple fact, Southern Soul does not have major record labels. Southern Soul is not strong enough for major record labels to feel like they need to infiltrate Southern Soul and use it as a tool on the youth, because most Southern Soul artists are not singing things for the youth. The youth is the audience that the major record labels want to infiltrate the minds of, because the youth is going to become older, and when they become older, the white people youth become older too. But when the white people youth become older, they have more sense because their minds haven't been polluted with what our youth have been polluted with. You understand? Prime example: Herschel Walker out here. And come on, man. You see what I'm saying? We already know. I didn't want to talk about no politics, but that's a prime PRIME example. That's what that is.
I'll say that because I agree with you 10,000%, man.
Right.
You know, come on now. That's a prime example right there in our face, man. Come on, man.
Absolutely. But see, I'm gonna tell you this though, but don't sleep and don't think for a minute that the powers that be is not watching the rise of Southern Soul, because sooner or later, one of them is going to make the first attempt to grab and become the first major record label for Southern Soul independent artists. It's coming. It's coming. And this is the reason for unification. This is the reason for stopping them in the tracks before they say, let me put my hooks on you. No, your hooks ain't gonna touch nothing.
Right.
Because this is mine. I built this. I don't need your nothing.
But here's the problem. You got these Southern Soul artists that put out their own music. They're on their own label. They don't really understand what a label is. They don't know what the job of a manager is. They really don't have a clue about the business itself. You know, even the ones that have big names, they still let so much money slip between the cracks. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have their business taken care of. The biggest problem is trying to educate certain artists and groups and things of that nature. They don't want it. They don't want, because now they feel like you're trying to tell them that you know more than them. And I'm like, well, you know, I definitely know a whole lot about the music industry that you don't know. You know, I even tried to attempt to put together a soul music industry, soul music summit out here in Atlanta. That was about 4 years ago. You know how many people signed up for it? One person signed up for it, and she was out of Texas. Listen, I had the panels put together for radio, for doing music videos, photography. We had the subject matter put together for copyright, how to officially copyright your music, what ISRC codes are, who is BDS, and what do they do? How do you encode your music with BDS? media base, and they don't when I'm talking like this, they don't even know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, how you got a record label, or how you got a song out here that has about 17 million views on it, and you didn't even know that you needed to what's the word, you know how when you set things up where you make money when
monetizing?
Yeah, you didn't even monetize it. You got 17 million views and you ain't even monetize it. Do you know how much money you just lost?
Mm-hmm.
But when I try to tell them, no, man, you act like you know everything. I know what I'm doing. I'm fine then. Fine. I'm gonna just lead by example. And that's why I'm doing just like I said, my tour starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading by example.
Now, how many cities is on your tour?
Right now it's 13 cities.
What are the cities that individuals can come out and see you?
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm in Mobile, Alabama, at the Gulf City Lodge. Saturday I'm in Moss Point, Mississippi, at the Magnolia Elks. Then December 17th I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, at Carmichael's. New Year's Eve I'm here in Atlanta at the Atrium. January 14th, I'm gonna be in Pensacola, Florida. Other spots that I have are what is it? Come on, help me out. Biloxi, Mississippi. What part of South Carolina is it? Oh my God!
It need to be Darlington.
It's not. It's not far from Darlington though. It's Pleasant Hill. Is it Pleasant Hill?
Where?
Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill. Rock Hill.
Rock Hill.
What other parts of it? I know it's other parts of Mississippi, man.
Where you gonna be at in Rock Hill?
Say that again.
Where in Rock Hill you gonna be at?
At the Elks.
When?
And see, here's the thing.
What month?
That's gonna be in March at the Elks.
In March?
In March.
I'll see you.
We'll definitely hook up because
I'll see you.
the thing about this right here is you don't have to do big, huge shows in order to sustain your career. Because right. You know, it's just simple math. You get 400 people, $25 a head, that's $10,000 off the door.
Right.
When you have artists out here saying, a promoter called them and say, what's your price? They say, you got to pay me $5,000 for tracks. Okay, so if I pay you $5,000 for tracks, and then I have to pay for the venue, and then I have to pay for the marketing and the advertisement, are you going to be able to bring in at least 1,000 people by yourself? No, you're not. Ain't nobody in Southern Soul right now bringing 1,000 people by themselves. All these shows that you see most of the time is 5 or 6 of the same artists, you know, and then that's when they have larger crowds. But book them by themselves. Their price, and so that's the other thing that I'll be trying to tell artists. I'm like, look, man, your price can't be the same for every show that you do. Because if the venue only holds 300 people and the promoter wants to bring you to his town, you have to do some math in your head. You can't charge $5,000 to come to a 300-seater when the tickets are $25 a head. Come on.
Yeah.
How can the promoter make any money?
That's true. But hold on one second. I know we running out of time, but I wanted to touch on the base that you have your own wine as well.
Oh yeah.
And I want to make sure that a lot of people, because we're going to have to bring you back because there's a lot of stuff that we leaving on the table. But okay. What made you get into wine and things like that?
Well, you know, when you look at the major artists such as Puff Daddy and Jay-Z and even Brandy now, she has her own cognac now. You know, when you see big artists doing things like that, that's letting you know that it's not all about the music. Because ever since CDs and stuff kind of went away and records, and now everybody is just streaming and downloading, you know, it took a lot of money went away from artists. You understand me? And so now, just like you see artists with reality TV shows, their own clothing line, their own cologne, this and that and the third. I was always like, well, I like to drink. I enjoy a nice drink, but the majority of my clientele is women. And most of the time, the women say, well, I don't want nothing hard. You got any wine? And I would hear that a lot at the shows when I put shows on, because when I put on a show, I try to get a place where the bar is mine, the kitchen is mine, and the door is mine. You know, and so when people come up, the women come up, they want wine. I'm like, well, I think I need to make have my own line for wine. And this is my first one is blackberry. It's called a blackberry teas. Listen, it's 11.3% alcohol. Stella Rosa is only 5% alcohol. So you're gonna have to drink 2-3 bottles just to get a feeling. And in my opinion, it makes you bloated. My wine is a pure, real wine. You can taste the alcohol. It's not overbearing. It does not have a lingering aftertaste either. But you also taste the blackberries. It's like it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's just the perfect. I'm telling you, it's the perfect blend, man. It is. It is.
Okay. So when did you start producing wine? And where can individuals purchase your wine?
What I did was I had to go to, man, I went to I know at least maybe 20, 25 different wine tasting their wine, because I don't make the wine. I don't, you know, I'm not making wine at home and putting it in a bucket, and I'm not doing that. I go to distilleries where they actually have the wineries and the vineyards and all that type of stuff. So I went to I know over 20 just tasting their blackberry. And then when I got to a place in Albemarle, North Carolina, they had the perfect blackberry wine, man. And so, you know, I have a worked out a deal with them where they make the bottles for me and put my labels on them. It's official with the government and the whole nine. At the first of the year, it'll be I have it on my website where you will be able to actually order it and it will be shipped to you. Yeah. So I'm in the process of getting that straight right now. But the wine now when you come to my show Saturday in Moss Point, Mississippi, it's going to be available right there. You can get it. You can buy it. It's $20 a bottle, and you're not going to be disappointed. Trust me.
What's the name of your wine?
50 Shades.
Oh,
50, yeah, 50 Shades of Wine.
50 Shades of Wine. Oh, damn.
And see, that allows me to have ultimately 50 different flavors.
Right.
You know, so you know, and this is something. It's not just marketed to the Southern Soul market. It's going to be marketed for everybody. You know what I'm saying? My name is up there real little. I don't, you know, the average person would put their face up. I ain't doing all that. I got my name up there real little. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't about me. It's about this product that you're buying. And then when you taste it, you be like, man, this is good. Oh, I got a good feeling. Ooh, I'm mellow. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to bring you back because, like I said, we left a lot of stuff on the table, but it was a great conversation.
Oh man,
and appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we love your music, and I know that starting, I think next week you're going back to doing the after party, right, Kay?
Yeah. As soon as I get back up north.
And K does, he DJs an after party on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, where he plays a lot of our Southern Soul with the blends that he does, and I'm sure he's going to utilize a lot of your music in that process. You know, you definitely, when you come back, we're definitely going to promote more of your music. Definitely and go from there. But if you give us 2 minutes after the show, we wanted to speak with you for a second. Sure. And like I say, ladies and gentlemen, you have been blessed with the great Mr. J. Red, the nephew. If you haven't heard his music, please go to YouTube, go to Spotify, go to iHeart, go to Sirius, go to all streaming platforms. Type in that name. You will not be disappointed. Trust me. Grown folks music. All right. And understand, like he said, he's been in the business for 30 years. He's worked with the best. He worked with Neptunes. He worked with Missy, Timbo, and all the rest of them. He has worked with Teddy Riley with the New Jack Swing. So you can definitely hear that in his music, some of the influences that of the individuals that he's been around. And I want to thank him for coming on, taking the time out to sit with us, because it was more than just a pleasure. We appreciate your presence. And Kay, you know what time it is, buddy.
You know, pleasure's all mine, fellas.
Yeah, don't go nowhere, fam. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, peace and blessing. Once again, my apologies for being late, but it's better to be late than never around at all. We want to thank Mr. J. Red, the nephew, for coming on and blazing us, and looking forward to having him back. And I always, like I tell everybody else, fam, you don't have a home away from home here. You definitely got a home here now, partner. So don't even worry about it. If there's anything that we can do for you and your peoples, just let us know, and we'll do our best to make sure we can accommodate and affiliate with you.
Yes, right? Sir.
Yes, to Allah's mighty 5% nation, the gods and earths, I say peace. And to all the human families of the planet Earth, we give you a love, peace, and happiness salute. And we are off and out of here. This is the Real2reel360 show. And we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Peace.
One love.
Definitely.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ KY, my brother, take us up out of here, son. Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of gods and earth, to all the human families on planet Earth. I say peace. But you are subscribers, folks, who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on. I give you a big shout out. Peace and happiness. Cause it's the man, woman, and child of the you and our verse. It's not for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning